Okay, I believe we are live. Yep, thank you all for attending. Yeah. And I'm just going to continue talking about our dear little friend Trump and our situation at hand. We have nearly had a month so far. November 3rd was the election, and we've gone through processes of him going from every place where the Democrats won, to pledging that some kind of corrupt process took place. Mail-in ballots, were somehow corrupt, and somehow, when they got to the polls, people at the polls were corrupt, and somehow the computer that verified it was corrupt, and somehow the process of each and every poll station was corrupt, and that it was justifiable, for this guy to run around telling everybody and suing everybody and doing a lot of things. But one of the things you might have noticed was that he was constantly sending emails to people asking for money, helping support in relationship with these lawsuits. And there's quite a few people who were taken in on that. And there's one particular person that was taken in that it affected him because this lawsuit, series of lawsuits that he was supporting, and the investigation, the whole bit, was supposed to take place, and $2 million this guy gave was to go toward that and be able to, follow through on the Trump investigation of fraud. Well, come to find out, it's not really worth doing because everybody throws it out. So about first week or two into it, the Trump organization realized we're just throwing money away, and we have to thin down what it is we're going to attack. Go just for Pennsylvania, Georgia, Minnesota. That's it. And let all the other ones kind of like, there's not much we can do about it. We can't prove fraud everywhere. That was the scope of the plan. That Trump, in his mind, there was fraud everywhere. So if they investigated as many places as possible, they would uncover fraud. And that's what they told this rich guy. So he gave $2 million, and then after about a week or two, probably not even that long, he asked for his money back. Nice.
Frederick Eshelman is the businessman in question here. He's a businessman from North Carolina, and he said he gave $2.5 million to True the Vote, which is a pro-Trump election ethics group in Texas that promised to file lawsuits in 7 swing states as part of its push to, quote, investigate, litigate, and expose suspected illegal balloting and fraud in the 2020 general election. But then all of a sudden, True the Vote actually dropped all of its legal actions and discontinued its Validate the Vote 2020 campaign. And so, of course, naturally, if you've donated $2.5 million to this organization and they drop all of these actions that they were allegedly be engaged in, you'd want to know why. You'd want to know what the money is being used for. And it turns out that they just kind of stopped returning Eshelman's calls.
Yeah, cool. Normal, in a corrupt situation, really normal. This is the president of the United States, and this is what he's doing on a day-to-day basis, to average people, circumstances, how he deals with it. So there's quite a bit here I want to share with you. So here we got Trump, and Trump is saying, no, this is a fraud, and I don't agree with the election. And even to the point to where he could possibly even push a coup. He's got the head of security, and he just gave him a special pardon the secret head of security. He got a pardon. And for that, this guy's got to come out and say, well, what we need to do is do a military coup. You know, you need to do that. You know, and so here's what he does. He gets out of this thing, he gets a pardon, and he immediately comes out and does this.
Presidential election are now urging Donald Trump to declare martial law, to do a so-called rerun of the election. One of those zealots actually happens to be former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn, who was just recently pardoned by Donald Trump. Flynn linked to an ad from a Tea Party affiliated group called We the People Convention. And in it, there was a 1,500 word manifesto that invokes Abraham Lincoln's extraordinary use of presidential authority to suspend habeas corpus as it compares the more widely known Civil War with Antifa and Black Lives Matter attacking major cities with their anti-American agenda. So understand what this ad, which was shared by Michael Flynn, is suggesting. That Donald Trump should declare martial law, right, which suspends the Constitution, and demand a rerun of the election. And the whole idea of like what should trigger it is the country is under threat by Antifa.
So that seems pretty bizarre. Yeah? I mean, here we are in America, that's going on, you know. I mean, where does this ever happen? Where in the world does this happen? Even today, you know, is it possible to find an identical situation?
It was viewed as a moment of democratic hope, but after conceding defeat, Gambian President Yahya Jammeh now says he rejects the outcome of this month's election, that he lost to opposition leader Adama Barrow. Jammeh, in power for 22 years, wants a fresh poll.
In the same way that I accepted faithfully the results, believing that the IEC was independent and honest and reliable, I hereby reject the results in totality.
Barrow had been expected to take over in late January. Jammeh's rejection is an unexpected and major challenge for the incoming administration.
That's present news, present day news in the world, you know, amongst dictating country, you know, we have dictators. And they're trying to play a game. Oh, okay, look, let's try democracy. People vote, you know, and then you don't vote him in, so he kills a bunch of people, and then he goes, "Hey, wait, now, let's try that again." You know, and the mindset of these crazy ass people, even in America, you can see this sitting here, seeing this country. You know, Mr. Tutu or whoever, you know, is going through his revolt of having been dictator for 22 years, you know. So now democracy, me, is really forcing the issue. I am taking change in China. I am taking change in India. I am putting change in Iran. You know, I'm placing democracy inside the awakened heart of every nation, you know. So they can't help it. It's going to pop up. And they're going to be forced to vote. They're going to be forced to move in that direction, yeah? So here we got this going on, and we can go, oh, that's easy to understand. We see it all the time, yeah? But yet, word for word is the same as the one individual. No other person in the United States history has done what this guy's done, because it's in another reality. The reality of a continent where people like dictators are all over the place. And you, just like in Africa or India or other places, you might have dictators in one territory, another dictator in another area, you know, and they just fight it out. Yeah. And it could be a religious cult, it could be a political cult, but it's a cult. Yeah. And it's led under the exact same ray energy, the energies, you know, that elementally control the Dark Lodge, Satan on this planet. And it rules over humanity. And we look over and we look at this in the news, you know. Well, that makes sense. I hope they make it through it. Poo-poo, not a good thing. How could he do that? All those people voted, but here we are in America, and we not only have this going on, but we have him inciting riots, inciting murder, inciting harm toward people during the process of trying to get people to overthrow a vote and get people to think that what we should do is vote again. And what he's just put out in that manifest, what that says, is that we're going to do a military coup. All your constitutional rights are over with. And all of you who are of voting age must get out of the house and meet us at the voting poll, standing in line, and you will be identified. And then you can vote. Every single person in the United States. That's what military law and a whole new voting system does. It doesn't give you the right to not vote. It forces you to vote. Yeah? And then it forces the conditions behind the vote. This is really a dictator regime. This is like just one door down from us. Yeah? One event down. Thank God this man's not president. Yeah? Because this is nothing compared to what he was going to do in those 4 years. He was going to rape this country clean and have a nuclear war before he leaves. No question about it. He thought he had 8 years to do a nuclear war, 4 years to play president, and at the end of his life, he wipes the planet out. We can look at this 100, 200, 500 years from now and look back at it and go, yep, that's exactly what happened. Or you can listen to me now and realize this is where this man's at. And what we need to do is put him in prison on the day that he walks out of the office. He must be gathered by the police and taken by handcuffs, put in a police car, and driven to a court where thousands of things will come down on him, keeping him in court till the end of time. We will uncover so much. We will be led to enormous pedophilia, enormous amount of corruption, enormous amount of wrongness in every possible area. Yeah. And if you do this, you will end a horrible future that was going to make manifest, and still can, if this guy is allowed to walk the street the next 4 years and be in a great big red bus, 50 to 100 buses, these big red buses driving around saying, Trump, Trump, Trump. Biden is not president. Biden is not president. Trump is the real president. That will happen for the next 4 years if we don't shut this man up. Yeah? But if you're a wimp, and a follower with this strong emotional connection where people were drawn to vote this guy in, and you don't see, what's coming down here. We're now in this other country. We're here. We're here in this country.
Which was already grappling with how to take control. The US has condemned the move, saying it's an unacceptable breach of faith and an attempt to remain in power illegitimately.
Can you imagine? Our country has right relationship. Our country, but not our president. It's not our president who made that statement. It's not our president dealing with these circumstances. This guy has hardly any situation that's brought to him that's involved under the responsibility of a president. Yeah, it's all shut down right now, completely. People are walking out of the office and not coming back. Half of his staff is gone. It is Exodus time. And all the people who are Republicans, they're losing the Senate because of this guy. They had the Senate. Yeah? They had a house where they had debate. They had a situation where they can keep things moving in their direction that they wished to pull off. Not anymore. This guy did that. Yeah? All under the auspiciousness of the blessing of Christ. Wiping away the amount of avarice that was put in this man coming at us, you know, becoming our president, and then as he leaves, he won't attend the inauguration. He won't let the next vice president, who is now to be president, come to the White House and be walked around. You know, the first lady is supposed to walk around the other first lady. It is something of the heart of a friend. It's hospitality. It's kindness. It's normal. It's normal, normal, normal. You do this to your neighbor. You know, it's what we do in America. You know, we're not kings and queens. You know, when you're a dictator, you're a hater. And when you're a hater, you burn the bridges. Yeah? And there are no bridges to cross anymore. Yeah? I don't even see you anymore. Yeah? Doesn't matter how many people died. He burnt that bridge a long time ago. Yeah? Does that make sense? That's this guy. Yeah? You know, so there's a lot, you know, in our country that has wiped him out. And we should be extremely proud of what we've done. You know, we voted him out. We allowed him to humiliate every state that had an election. He was able to go in and lie and humiliate and pay people to lie and use people's emotional illusions and delusions of what they thought was a compromising situation and turn that into, proof that something went wrong, something was unjust, something was not right. Yeah, and he was using people, and all this gets uncovered. Yeah, so we allowed him to do that. That's very, very second ray. This country is a 2-6. And if you're in this country, and if you are of this country, you're going to be a 2-6. It's your nation. It's your body. Yeah, it's who you are. It doesn't matter if you're from Alabama or you're from another place. The purpose of the Constitution was to eliminate the separative states. Create a constitution that brought all the states together under one constitution. And that created fellowship. We weren't to be competing against each state, doing things to, offset the balance of each state. That's the way the Constitution is set up. The whole process of creation of the Constitution was under the Civil War and the breaking down of this process of us being able to be close together. Yeah, to be able to, there was a group of states over here that played their game and did what they wanted to do, and they were corrupt, mean, and very, very not good, not friendly people, And the other states were trying to care and share and do things and grow and be farmers and work as a community and trying to develop a political arena so that we can create the United States and stand up against England, or some other process that can come in and take us over, like French tried to and Spain tried to, and all these different things came in to affect, the group that was trying to become Americans. Yeah. So it was the making of that Constitution, which was an agreement that we are not separate states. Yeah. So this whole process that we're experiencing is from that left-hand path side that everybody's kind of got, but they have to grow out of to become friends, allies, humanitarians. Yeah? We do humane things. We are hospitable. Yeah? We're hospitality, We make a cake when someone comes over, We don't treat people like this. Yeah, especially another president coming into office. Yeah. So that's our process. That's us. Yeah. Because this influence of being able to overthrow this has everything to do with healing the nations. We're not the only ones in this process. And you can see that other country. China's in the same boat. Iran's in the same boat. All these other countries have dictators, and we're very blessed that we live in the United States and we haven't had that dictator scenario before, except for now. Yeah. So it puts us a lot closer, compassionately, to better understand the scenario of all the other countries and how they can get lost in this process. Yeah. And it raises up humanity. Yeah. And it's slow work, but it raises up humanity. Yeah. And here we all have the coronavirus. Yeah. And people are dying, and people are sick, and people just don't want to put on their masks anymore. Yeah. People in England are living a life as though they're Donald Trump, acting as though this is all a hoax and I'm not about to do it and I want my rights back and all this kind of crap. And they're not alone. It's in a lot of countries, but it's that nature. It's that nature that's being healed in those countries. Yeah. And England is a 1-2. And America is a 2-6. So those countries that have a 2, are going to be deeply affected at this point in time. And they're going to have people behaving like Trump, who are heartless. Yeah. And they can't, because they don't have a heart. They have strong sixth ray. They have loyalty to themselves or other things. Yeah. So that whole process is what it is that's being transmuted. So imagine if this, we got that dictator, we got the coup. Imagine here you are, President of the United States, and you're 3-4. And, where does that go? Well, what if Jesus Christ carries the rays? Yeah. And carries the fourth ray in the right place. Yeah. Yeah. And carries all the other rays in their right place. And they put out a lot of energy. Yeah. But in his case, everybody carries a very similar ray package as himself, no matter what country you're in. Yeah. He looks down on people. People feel that they're being looked down on. So it's a reaction response to dark energies, dark forces, people like that, called lunar qualities. Yeah. Left spin qualities, and it pushes people down, 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 and then it makes you be on the ground, and you have to do everything to feel like I'm not worthy, of anything, because this energy is sixth ray, and it's pushing sixth ray into your vehicles, all your vehicles, yeah. So you come out dominantly very sixth ray, yeah. But imagine, here I am, and I don't see people that way. I see people as second ray, yeah. And I see countries as reflecting second ray qualities, because whether they're a fifth ray or fourth ray, they're the soulful expression of that fifth ray or fourth ray. So it's properly radiating, not in a glamour, but in its healing aspect. And all the elements of the nations, are what embody the process of the people who live on that continent. Just like I said before, this is a 2-6. If you're in America, every single one of you who is here, your dominant rays, whether you like it or not, it's 2-6. It's your dominant rays. And you've been brought here. Thank Jesus Christ for bringing me here. Yeah. And it's the same with every place else you are brought to. Yeah. It's a reflection of the rays and the healing of the nations. Yeah. And the process that goes on. Yeah. And we can see that in Africa, you got this guy having exactly the same life experience that we are having in America. And yet, we're democratic, He just tried to do democracy. But yet the outcome is exactly the same. So it's a mirror of what it's like in symptom. So this guy in Africa is very fourth ray. If you study him, he's very fourth ray. He's a 1-4. Yeah. He's very fourth ray, and he's going to go to war, and he's going to sit there forever, thinking that no one ever is going to go against him. That's where his mindset's at, because that's where his ray energies are at. Yeah. But imagine Trump, he is a 3-4, and here I am in this continent, and I'm radiating out a very proper behavior from a young boy to the person I am today of the influence of 2-6. Yeah? Even though that's not my ray package, but here it is. Yeah? So I build a monastery. Yeah? Because 2-6 is a master. 2-6 is Jesus Christ. Yeah? That's the ray package of Jesus Christ. Yeah? So this place brings that embodiment back, yeah, and helps level the process of that 6th ray being a lower aspect, like a personality, you know, where when I'm in it, I build a monastery, you know, and I create hippies, you know, and I create electric cars, and I create all these things out of America coming out of my 2-6 energy. Creating a new group of world servers, creating all this happens within the influence of 2-6. Yeah, it's discipleship and it's master. You know, it's a quality of right relationship that gets you through the 3rd initiation. It takes you through very nicely through the first 2 initiations. Is the country, the United States, the country itself. Yeah, and that is ray energy and all the influence that comes from that. Yeah, so imagine. Here we have a president who has a 3-4, and he's been walking around, and you know where the 4's at, you know. The 4 sits at the base. It's at the base, and it's also the earth, yeah. So if you're pretty dang evil like Lucifer, who is a 3-4, Satan's 3-4, you know. So if you happen to have that in your package, yeah, then you have that all the way up here in your brow. And you're willing your own personal harmony. That's all you're doing. Yeah, you're willing other people pardons. You're willing other people this and that. You're willing, man, no, I didn't rape that little girl. No, I had his. You know, no, give me all that money. No, I'll build it. Call it all Trump. Call it all Trump. You know, very 4th ray, right there, out of his ivory tower, out of this fake little crown that he's got on his head. Yeah, and that's Satan. That's Lucifer. He takes earth and puts it on his head and says he's the Lord of this earth. Yeah, and that takes away your will and all the chakras that work throughout your vehicles, because he did that. Yeah, he took this earth and became the Lord of this world. Yeah, and here we are in the litanies. We're at a time from December 1st through December 25th, we're in a time of the litanies, and it's the focus of the archangels, yeah, focusing on Satan, yeah, using Jesus Christ as the process that overthrows Satan and takes the position of the Lord of the world, yeah. So the litany is based on transition, just like Trump doesn't want to end his office, but there's another guy coming in the office, you know. So there's a transition. But this one's going, no, I'm not going to do it. Martial law. And the other one is like Christian, thanking Jesus, praying, calm, you know, sincere, 100%, you know. And it's the way in which those rays are expressed in this person. And here we have a guy who is a 4th ray here, yeah, and a 3rd ray here, yeah. That 3rd ray is at your throat center. 3rd ray is also a place, if you're a 4th ray, then you have to take speed. You know, you have to do cocaine, you have to do speed, you have to drink a lot of coffee, whatever it is that's in your culture that gives you speed, you know, you have to consume it. You have to. It's like the natural the drug of choice of a 3-4, you know, because they're bored. They're so bored, and they got to keep this fantasy in the mind of stimulation, of interest, of you know, there's no education going on. There's no real reality going on. It's all fantasy world. So it's being stimulated by a false energy, you know, that's coming from his solar plex. So he has to drink a lot of cola, a whole bunch of cola. And he's Sudafed, you know, like 3 packages a day of Sudafed, and snort as much cocaine a human being could snort, you know, up to probably when he was like 60-something, you know, maybe until the day he became president. I don't know. But the man is an addict, you know. an addict of stimulant, yeah. When you have a fourth ray, it's a very rare thing, and it is meant to be at your base center, yeah. So having it there could create the worst psychological problems inside of a person, yeah. It can make the person extremely aggressive, fly off, like explosive, fly off, uncontrollable, you know, ridiculous, explosive behavior, yeah. And that means his heart rate could go up and his blood pressure could go up and things in his body can go wrong, you know, and all of a sudden it's just like, uh-oh, diaper Don, you know. How's that? Is that real? Does this guy wear a diaper? Yeah. Does he wear a Depends? Yeah. Does our president of the United States shit his pants all the time? Yeah. Well, there's a couple people who know. Yeah. When he was on The Apprentice, the people who worked on The Apprentice had to deal with the fact that he shit his pants all the time. And they had to tell him, come on, you need to get off stage. And we'll go clean you up, you know, then bring you back and, you know, freshen you up a little bit. You know, this happened a lot. You know, certain people were actually given that job, you know. And Ivanka, he laid off a big one right next to her, and she just went, "Oh, Daddy, you need to go." And then the guy who always wipes him, he came and got him and took him off, you know, and took care of it and brought him back, you know, and they continued. Well, this is the guy telling the story who was actually there. So you get to enjoy this, okay? Please enjoy the world of Trump.
The diapers is not a joke. It depends. You know, Diaper Don is trending, but it's based in reality. He would often soil himself on The Apprentice set. He's incontinent from all the speed, all the Adderall he does, the cocaine that he's done for decades. You know, all that stuff has a laxative, and it has an effect on your bowels, and his are uncontrollable. He's worn diapers since probably the 90s, but I saw it firsthand in the 2000s on Celebrity Apprentice in late 2000s, and we'd have to stop the show and change him, you know, and that was Keith Schiller's job. He would take him off set, he would wipe him down. Our nickname for Keith was Wet Wipes. It's not a joke. It's happened several times. And you've seen it happen while he's in office. You've seen he was in the Oval Office with Erdogan, and you could clearly hear him sort of evacuating himself. He did it in front of Senator Feinstein, Dianne Feinstein, at a press conference. So he does it, and he almost sits there like and unaware of it, you know. And one time I saw Ivanka have to go kind of whisper in his ear, and then Keith came and took him off stage. He'll also do it in a rage, and this is where it gets really drug related. He'll start to freak out. You know, one time there was the word arbitrage on a cue card, and he started screaming that the script department was setting him up. You're setting me up, and he just freaked out, and then very loudly evacuated his bowels, and you could smell it, you know, and the guy who was holding the boom mic, you know, was tearing up. So that's where the nickname, the SHIT show, came from. That was the crew nickname for Celebrity Apprentice. So when you hear Diaper Don, it's not a joke. He tries to hide it. I'll give you one more fact. If you look up the video of him when he was doing the WWF thing, he tackles a guy on the ground outside of the ring, and you can clearly see the outline of the Depends in his pants. And that was back in the early 90s. So he's lost control of his bowels. He's lost control of his brain. That's who he is, Diaper Don.
All right. I hope all of you are off the floor by now. Yeah, truth is funny, you know? Because the real reality is that due to the angelic reality of God's nature, you know, that God is fixing all this with enormous levity, yeah, and God has a big time sense of humor, yeah, you know, so the healing crisis you could see is very funny, you know, to the Lord, and it should be to you, Yeah, there's a lot in relationship to imagine him, having to heal his pooper and all that, but there's more going on, there's more going on. You do not know the level of which he wanted to kill. Right now he has killed 270,000 people, and because he put things in the minds of people, all around the world, thinking that it's a hoax and don't wear the mask and things like that. We should have had only 35,000 deaths max, and we have 370,000 deaths. And now we're going to have a total of 450,000 deaths by April. That's a lot. It's a lot, Even though we have the vaccine, because of him, people aren't going to take it. A good 30% of the United States is going to be offered it, won't take it. And at least 10% of people who do take it won't take it the second time. Just because they got sick a little bit. And then they get into the scam of the paranoia that's coming out of this guy Trump, creating a very weak 2-6 quality inside of everyone. When that's there, you're very afraid, and you want to be following the right person, and you're not strong enough to make your own decision, and you'd rather be told what to do, when to get up, what to do, all that kind of stuff. That's the weakness of that 2-6. And these people like this take advantage of that. So there is his process, and behind the scene, you're not aware of the fact that he has a goal of really mass, not just a little killing, but a whole planet. He has a goal, But before that, his goal was to start off, by the time he finishes this process, he gets the United States to fully and completely legalize the death penalty in many versions, including shooting a person, hanging a person, death by gas and syringe, and electric chair. Oh yeah, don't forget electric chair. All those things, all opportunities that have been used throughout the world, he's made into law. And since the time that he has become president, he has killed more people under this law than, over the last 100 years has only been so many. Over 70 years, not one woman has been killed, but 2 days before he leaves the office, he's having a woman murdered, just for his own satisfaction, because he can. And no one is going to stop it. This is beyond bad karma. And it's, I'm going to show you this, because this is what he's done, and he's leaving the office with this in effect. But go for the other side. On the other side is my little guy Biden, and Harris, and they absolutely will not allow death penalty in any case, for any reason whatsoever. They won't allow it. For Christian reasons. He's doing it for hate. It has nothing to do with anything but hate. He wants the death penalty to be an option because that's where hate takes it. You got to be able to shoot a person in the back of the head. You got to be able to cut a person's head off in order to justify the action of, I've finally had him pay his penalty. I could show you over and over where he's talked like that, where he believes there is a penalty people must pay. And if death is not part of it, and a bad death is not part of it, then we're not doing our job. People aren't paying the penalty they're supposed to pay. We're letting them off. So that's his thing, and this is what he did.
By firing squad, electrocution, or poison gas. Under a new rule filed by the Trump administration, these methods can now be used to carry out executions for federal death sentences in addition to lethal injection. The amendment to the manner of federal executions rule was entered Friday into the Federal Register, goes into effect Christmas Eve. That's December 24th. This comes as the Trump administration's already executed 8 people in the past 5 months. Earlier this month, it executed Orlando Hall at the federal penitentiary in Terre Haute, Indiana. Hall was an African-American man sentenced to die by an all-white jury. Prior to this year, the federal government had not executed anyone since 2003, 17 years ago. Now, in what critics say is a dramatic deviation from historical practices, 5 more people are scheduled to be executed during Trump's final weeks in office, 3 of them just days before President-elect Joe Biden is inaugurated, including the first woman in nearly 70 years. The Death Penalty Information Center reports it's been more than a century since a federal execution was conducted during a lame duck presidency in 1889 during the outgoing administration of Grover Cleveland. The Justice Department has not yet said whether it will try to use any methods other than lethal injection for the 3 executions it's scheduled after the new rules take effect. President-elect Joe Biden said during the election campaign he now supports eliminating the federal death penalty. Biden co-authored legislation in 1990 that expanded the federal death penalty.
That's right. Yeah, there's a 4th ray that goes to the base center. Yeah. And the earth has, in all of our consciousness, we have humanity. Yeah. And if people break a law, you don't treat them by cutting off their fingers and poking out their eye and, making their family owe a debt for generation after generation, for something somebody else did. Those are common acts when the 4th ray is up here. Yeah, from these elemental forces, it's the only way it allows us to think this way, to do these things, even go to war, even kill a person, even be able to have jealousy over your wife, yeah, and anger and all those things that come up is due to the 4th ray up here. When you get into a relationship, you have expectancy. You expect certain things. You expect humanity. But you haven't developed humanity yet. Yeah? So by yourself, alone, you might have that going on. But when it's tested through another person, you start channeling. Yeah? That 6th ray emotional body gets locked into elemental processes that wants to keep people apart. Not bring people together, but keep people apart. Bring about bad karma. Yeah? Circumstances, thoughts, illusions, delusions, things that come up that drive people into a life that takes them away from what it is they should be doing. And you would think in your expecting mind, that God's going to lay down a plan so that we could work this out and be together. Yeah? It doesn't really work like that. Look at all the divorces. Yeah? God's trying real hard, but that has nothing to do with whether or not all this works out the way it's supposed to. It's according to the chakras and where they're at in your being. And if I can get your 4th ray down to your base by eliminating lunar lords that put that 4th ray up there, because they disempower you. And it's a psychic elemental force. You have no idea. People pick it up. They want to be lunar in themselves. They want to tell other people what to do. They want to judge other people. They want to criticize. All those natures that come out of people are coming out of this 4th ray going wrong, pushing us in a very emotional 6th ray way. All those things that these qualities that we'd like to heal are all about. And it's what brings about the ability for us to hang someone or have jealousy and enviousness and rage to a point to where, you get a gun, you shoot your wife because she's having sex with somebody. That's as insane as it can get. That's mad. That's mad. Yeah? But these chakras will drive us crazy the closer we try and get to each other. They will drive us crazy because they are not in the right place. If they're in the right place, then we develop a sangha, we develop a nature that makes us really compatible and complementary without putting these false expectations on top of each other that comes from lunar lords who own people. They own people, yeah? The characteristic of owning someone, yeah? Yeah, even the thought that, oh, I don't know if I should give that person a tip. All this thought form stuff has to do with you being a slave at one point or you being an owner at another point. It's very conflicting, yeah? And it's a nature that we are pushed into, yeah? Yeah, and we don't necessarily, it's not what we want, but it's the unhealthiness of these chakras. Yeah. So imagine I'm here and I'm putting this fourth ray into this earth. Yeah. And I create Shambhala. And Shambhala is fourth ray, first ray. Fourth ray, first ray. Yeah. So I am in charge of Shambhala. Yeah. I hold the foundation of Shambhala. I give the teachings of Shambhala. I am the founder of Shambhala, yeah, and I transmit Shambhala, yeah, which means all the 7 rays that come through the vehicle of the planet or humans, yeah, all pass through this place, yeah, and they orient through me. They're empowered that way, yeah. So it's more or less like an orchestra, yeah, where I'm playing music, and I'm in my fourth ray element. Yeah, because here we are in the 2-6. We're in the United States, 2-6. But here, we're in 2-4, or 1-4. Yeah, we're the element of the energy of Shambhala. Yeah, so you get to experience the actual energy of the first ray without it being overwhelming at all. Yeah, it's just overwhelmingly natural. Yeah, it reconfigures your DNA. It reconfigures your position as to whether or not you align to being an animal or a vegetable or any kind of thing that you align to rather than being who you really are, being self-actualized. And you get that by that first ray, fourth ray, holding the energy all the way through all these chakras. Yeah, and that radiates out into the person that you are. Whatever that person is, that person will express according to that fourth ray, first ray. Yeah. It's a law of elemental nature. It's a law of Shambhala. Yeah. So Shambhala actually gives back the will of God to people. It's been taken away. God gave you free will. Free will. Not, free will. Not I give you Satan, and Satan takes away your will and you live under that dictatorship forever. That's not the way it is. That's not the way it was. It's not the way it is. That's a long process of people usurping other people throughout time and becoming dark and embodying Satan, in the nature of human beings as lunar lords. And that took a long time, long time. Hitler's and Mussolini's and many, yeah. But that's how this planet has the rays that it does. It's dominated the rays by having lunar qualities develop. Yeah. And that lunar quality is always by pushing that fourth ray up to the brow. Yeah. And being able to psychically manipulate people to believe that they're of a caste. They're a caste. Yeah. If you're black, you're black. If you're white, you're white. Yeah. If you're Asian, you're Asian. And then there's castes inside that. Yeah. Oh, you're from Alabama? What part of Alabama? Oh, what's the name of your father? What's your family name? Yeah. Caste. Yeah. So we have a lot of that go on, in the process of humanity. And that energy is the elements that's locked inside the fourth ray when they go to the brow. Yeah. Now, if that fourth ray can stay down here, and I can keep this nice blessing of Shambhala going on, it counteracts the influence of, right now, we have Satan in Washington, sitting at a place in Washington, and he's taking on the house of the first ray, which is, it's supposed to be represented the house of Shambhala. That's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be first ray, fourth ray. All of Congress, everybody working together, everybody unifying, all the democracy established in that, really, that's all fourth ray. And then that comes up through the process of our evolution. As we share and we deal with things, we use democracy to do this. So we're doing it only by the principles of human rights and all these things. That's everything pushed back down to the base center and seen by masters. The Constitution is written with the fourth ray at the base. And freeing the will. So it's all about, it's the free will of the people. People get this, all these attributes that will come to them, freedom and joy and peace and happiness, all these things will come to them, because they're building the house that is the fourth ray and the first ray, the Constitution. Does that make sense? Because it wasn't just, another Bill of Rights or something like that. It was something that constituted everything. And it forced, it to not be sixth ray, not be fifth ray, not be seventh ray, not be just first ray. No, he can't be a king. No, he can't be an emperor. We've got to make it to where the person who stands in the office is under the radiatory effect of the first ray and fourth ray, no matter what ray package they are. When they take on the office of the president, they take on the office of the first ray and the fourth ray. So they're commander-in-chief. It's the nature of first ray, fourth ray, is commander-in-chief. It's just what comes with the nature of that. You can help everything harmonize and bring it into peace and work things out and, seeing it from on high, and bringing down God's understanding and God's will into forcing the right thing to take place. Not by war, not by hostility, but by understanding and complementation. The ability to compromise, is the first ray, fourth ray. So that's what's hitting this president. He's sitting in the office with a 3-4. He all over the place. It's because this fourth ray energy is affecting him, and he cannot pull off what he had pulled off in previous lives as either Mussolini or some other really bad person. Where in this life, he only got so far. And now it's all coming out. Elements come out as poop. If you understand the relationship of the rays, the cleansing of the elements of the body quite often is the process where you're coughing up phlegm. That's a toxic cleanse. Or you pee really dark, smelly pee, and you're reducing the amount of minerals and all kinds of things in your body, and that's coming out, and it's healing you. And or you could have an enormous breakdown through your bowels, because each one of these things are chakrically designed, and we're meant to be prasadam, walking prasadam. So we stay really healthy and live very long lives because the food that we eat is part of our behavior. We're blessing things. So when we eat food, we're blessing things. And we're doing it in a high-mindedness. So we're eating really good quality food, and we're, doing it in non-neurotic form, and all those non-neurotic compulsive processes, are not going on. That's what happens when you're healthy, when the fourth ray is in that healthy state. But if not, then it goes completely awry, completely elementally, to where the person just cannot find balance. They're constantly out of state of imbalance. And most of that is due to the fact of the amount of toxic energy that is pulled through the person as a planetary healing effect. Yeah, I mean, think of this. Yeah, the devil doesn't just get away with shitting on everybody, and lying, and walk around and be healthy and eat hamburgers and poo everybody, without having all the time, 24/7, something really vile going on in their karmic life. Something hidden and vile, like a diaper filled with shit. Yeah. And I'm sure he pees out of control, So if you look, you can go online and look for Diaper Don. Yeah. And when you do that, you'll find many different areas where he's golfing and he's in that wrestling thing, and you see his pants are all puffed up, and there's underwear line, big puffy underwear line, and then most recently he's sitting at a little tiny desk like a little kid, and he's giving responsible orders to the military. That's what he's doing, sitting at the little tiny desk. And then he gives a talk, to the public and stuff. And one of the cameras on the side, now here we're all looking front on, but there's a camera to the side, and you could see his diaper's full. He's got all this sticking out the back, like 6 or 8 or 10 inches of extra Donald, coming out the back. And that's a full diaper. That's just, he's wearing the big one, today. Supersize me, And it's just amazing, but it is how it goes. There's you don't just walk away from it, There is toxic elements, especially when I'm around. There's a healing crisis that's going to go on. And in his case, it's base center, which really affects his sex life. Yeah. And that's something that he would never want that to happen. So let alone he's 100% likely impotent. He's also pooping, spontaneously. So, there's not a lot of close anything, possible to go on for this guy. And yet as a pervert, who has, grabs every woman and kisses every woman and fondles them, up to the time he couldn't control his poop, that was his actions up to about mid-1990s. Yeah. So after that, after I came along, after I witnessed what he was up to and where he's coming from and what effect that's going to have, he started having major problems. Yeah. So that just means that not only is the fourth ray, elemental, when someone goes through that, they're actually absorbing their own karma. Yeah. So it passes through them, and out. Yeah. So it's really toxic, really smelly. It's never healthy. It's always vile because it's death. It's very, very, bad, really bad. Yeah. And that process is there because he has this fourth ray scenario going on and a third ray scenario going on. So he's taking speed all the time. Yeah. And he's constantly nuttier than a fruitcake, saying things as though he's on speed. Yeah. And communicating with everybody hostilely, everything that he's doing. So that action interacts with his base center, because his base center is a harmony center. You have to stay calm and relaxed for those elements to stop doing what they're doing. And he can't do that. So he has this third ray, and he's talking all the time, tweeting all the time, causing irritation in himself, which goes directly to his bowels. So he's killing himself. He's doing this to himself. Yeah. And that's healing the influence of him being able to control masses of people. It's been turned on him. Yeah. Because the only way that's happening is because the office of the president is a second ray embodiment. Yeah. Whoever comes in has to have a heart. They have to be soulful. They have to have soulful lifestyle, that has gone on throughout their life. Yeah. So when they step in there, they're in a high state of service, and they radiate in their body due to lifestyle, light, natural light that comes with the soul. And there are people that left the office of the White House because they didn't have that. And it was all people without any light whatsoever that were left over. You could see them on the news, talking and lying and doing all that they're doing. Look at his lawyer. He's gone mad. He's gone mad. He's madder than a Mad Hatter. I mean, it is sad what this guy is doing to the elements of these people, and it's all fourth ray, and he's forcing third ray like a puppet, forcing people to do and say and be a certain way, which is completely against reality. Yeah, so they have to lie all the time, and that's the focus of Lucifer, is getting people to lie and get people to murder and get people to deceive. Yeah, those are all things, when I teach about Buddhism, those are things you got to make absolutely sure they're not a part of your nature. That you cannot get to that point of aggravation to where you'll harm another person. And you cannot behave with gossip, and you can't do certain things. Yeah, all these things are what torment the elementally, what torment the embodiment of that nature. Yeah, so all this is being purified. Yeah, so there's hardly anybody who's going to walk back into Washington that doesn't have a soul. Over the next 3 years, the level of soul is going to be increased in every single state, every single office, every mayor, every governor, people who want to be of service, things like that. It's going to be people of soul that are going to be waking up. Yeah, because the lunar lords, even the one inside yourself, are dying. Yeah, because the elements cannot support them anymore. Yeah, so I'm going to do this. We're going to do this puja after this prayer. We're doing a soul I walk on earth, and that one, if you listen to it, yeah, it's pretty cool. It's everything that I just talked about. Yeah. All right, so let's do this little prayer. So I hope all of you are able to see and witness the fact that this guy is as evil as I can tell you he is. Yeah, you have to see it. It has to come inside you, and in order for you to turn it away. Yeah, there's only reflections within yourself that allows you to just take this lightly. Because this man is incessantly evil, yeah, and that purges through his daughter, through his son-in-law, yeah, through his two sons, yeah, and they can't help it. They're possessed by having his influence in their life, and they know it. They know it. Their lives are ruined because he's in their life, and they can't be who they are. They have to be who he needs them to be. Yeah, and they have to lie. They have to deceive. They're going to go to court over and over and over again because he set them up to run tax shady deals, through their corporations, and to give them an income to help them live a lavish life, all done by Mr. Donald Trump doing shady deals and not paying taxes. Saying, oh, yeah, I'm going to pay my daughter's corporation so I can get, some assistance in management and, how we could best deal with circumstances. Yeah, and it's a corporation. That's where this is going to, and it's supposed to do these things. Except that the money went, the exact amount of money, went to his daughter, into her account, and not into the corporation. So that's just one thing, and that's a million some odd. That's just one thing. She's got to, deal with her father setting her up, and all these other people, all these people who have gone to jail and are supposed to go to jail and have been, allowed not to go to jail. All those people were set up, used by Trump in order to further his ambition. And he knew he was doing wrong, and he had to compromise other people by them being loyal to him because he's the liar. He's the initiator. And if you don't come to grips with this, that there's not another initiator out there, not another one. They all come off this son of a gun. Whether it be the Dalai Lama or the Pope, all of them, they hold relationship to this idiot. This guy sits as the king of the world. You see it in his mind, you see it in his action. He thinks you're all just living in Kool-Aid, and that you don't see the truth. And the truth is, he's the king of the world. And that's why it all happens the way it does for him. And he is the king of the world, people. And he's made a lot of kings, a lot of dictators. The whole world has been disrupted. Iran is controlled by his very energy. Just that all that spin, that third ray, fourth ray spin, is so corrupt. So if you don't understand, this guy and who he is, chances are the masses of humanity, the other side of people who voted for him, are not going to wake up in their hearts and their minds and see the situation that he is really a really evil person, that he's the pedophile that they're looking for. And he's the seed of corruption that they are looking for. The very person that they say is what they're looking for. They found him. And they need to have that wake up, because that's what everybody else saw, that voted for Biden. They saw, oh my God, can you see? Can you hear this guy? How could anybody follow this idiot? You got to be an absolute idiot to follow this idiot, And that's how he lost, because there were wise enough people in the United States that carry the Holy Spirit and have a soul of the second ray to keep a 2-6 of loyalty to America, democracy, rather than, hey, let's just get rid of the police, let's bring in the military, let's have military law, get rid of the police. How can you say that? Let's get rid of the police and bring in the military. I mean, what? How does that make sense? Think about it, How does it really make sense? It doesn't. It's a conspiracy. It's not the kind of evil conspiracy, that they're talking about with QAnon, but it's the process of people being led by the sixth ray. And that sixth ray is delusionary. It's illusionary. We see fairies where there aren't fairies. We believe that there are vampires when there are no vampires. We believe that people can be brought back from the dead like Dracula or, like Frankenstein, and they cannot. Real shit happens. Life is real. But there's a major portion of us that is in a fantasy land. And that expectation that lays out in that fantasy world leaves open a door called the astral plane of every possible terrible demise that can happen to every living soul on this planet. And from that point, at that where you're looking, you can go, oh, that explains why that child is starving. That explains why there's no God. Does that make sense? Because it's literally just standing right there in front of God and just screaming out longer, harder, rather than allowing God to flow. So it's the whole process of this guy screaming these illusions and delusions. and putting, it's all a hoax. It's all skeptical. Don't even go vote. Yeah, that's what happened to the Senate. The people who were going to be voted in didn't get voted in because Trump went around saying, don't trust vote, So those people decided not to go and vote. And the Democrats went, well, screw that, I'm going to vote. This is all good. There's nothing wrong. My vote counts, So, bam, the Democrats won. And because of that ridiculous Republican scaring people about voting, they didn't vote. And that's how he lost. Yeah, and that's how the Senate lost. That's how everything went the way it did. Yeah, because where I come from in Buddhism, everything is the opposite of what it is. Yeah, and when Satan comes out to do what he's doing, he thinks he's taking charge, but the reality is he's getting busted. And he's tying his own noose. He's putting his own hangman's knot up. Everything is being done by himself. Yeah. And it's just a matter of witnessing, being that trust in the process of the fact that lunar lords like this is done and over with. Yeah. And bringing in Biden or others that are going to change this is nothing compared to what you're going to see. And when this guy goes into jail, goes in and stays in, the freedom that's going to happen inside of nature, inside of humanity, the changes on all levels that is going to open up is just going to blow your mind. Yeah. So that's the reason why I give this prayer, so that we can release ourselves from what we don't know. In this life, we've made agreements. Yeah. We don't know, because you can't really go all the way back and go, oh yeah, I remember that. That wasn't good. Wish I didn't say that. I wish I didn't do that. Yeah. But all these things in Jesus is forgiven. Yeah. So your past is the tree of life. If you take in Jesus, if you take it in, it's the tree of life. But to you, it's a burden. Yeah. You cannot explain it. You do not know why it happened. Yeah. But to Jesus, there's complete understanding. Yeah. So from that understanding, forgiveness happens. Grace just flows without any questions, without, oh, you promised to repent, you promised to change. No, a brand new person is rebuilt. Yeah, so you can't do these things. And that place of trigger, that comes from past life processes, even in this life, doesn't come back. It's not your nature anymore because it didn't happen. That's the second ray. When you realize life isn't what it is a play. It is an illusion. It does not exist. What does exist, is a spiritual, complex reality that we call matter and life. Yeah. And it's in a dream. Yeah. But it's being fought out between God and Satan. And we have no idea that this is, a playing out, a final playing out of something that's been so long and driven so many people crazy. Yeah. And we have no idea that we're at the end of that process. That's because as this goes out and transforms, these rays into humanity, it closes a door. Yeah. And that door, you see Trump, he's pooping all the time. That's a healing crisis that he's having, that also the earth is having too. Yeah. He's a good representation of the suffering on earth. Yeah. He's not the higher side, he's not anything, but he's the suffering side. Yeah. He's suffering mentally. He's saying all the things you would say if you were a dictator under these circumstances. He can't control it. He's just a comic. He's an actor. And he's on a stage and God is playing him. Yeah. Because he's to be judged. And if you're wise enough and you can see this clearly enough, he will go up in flames. Yeah. Not right in front of us, but we'll see it. We'll see it. Right now, he is already, fire up the butthole, He's up in flames every single morning, every single day. He looks at the news. He's up in flames. Yeah. He's in hell. He's in flames. Yeah. Know this. Yeah, that the devil's being judged. Witness it, and watch him go to hell. And watch him be enchained, as it says in the Bible. And watch this earth be safe for 1,000 years. Yeah? And we can restructure and rebuild this thing. Yeah? And then you've learned, like in Tibetan Buddhism, we've learned that once you've healed the nation, once you've healed masses of people and you stop the bond for a period of time, then when those people die and come back many hundreds of years later, they come back as protectors, no longer lunar lords. Yeah? But they come back as protectors. They still have a nature about them, but they are subdued. Yeah? And they turn the energy toward the Dharma. So many, many, many more enlightening things come up because there are demigods. Yeah? And demigods exist. We don't know the existence of demigods, but at this time, we're closing the door to the astral plane because we're capturing the demigods, putting them in hell, and we're going to keep them there for a period of time. And once that's done and over with, the demigods release. And it's not a negative process because they only exist inside of human nature. If your nature is that lunar quality, then you're going to make manifest a demigod. Yeah. But if you're of Christ, yeah, and the presence of all the angel that you are, then you heal those lunar lords from ever being able to do that action again. So out of that, we release a lot of pent-up light that could turn into an enormous amount of energy, rather than the negative energy. That all it is a demigod that doesn't know how to respect God. Yeah. Read your Bhagavad Gita, read any of it, you'll find that this is a true fact in God's realm, in God's reality. And you're in God's reality. This is a dream. Yeah. And we're dealing with Trump. And Trump is an apocalypse. It's an, I don't know how you call it, not like an apocalypse, but, it's the end of times process. And it's mainly because these are the demons that are being captured and sealed, and judged, because humanity could see this and change, and they want democracy. Yeah. But it's a door, unless you understand that it's a door, that it really is something that's going to close. And when it does close, the energy that comes with that means that you don't go to hell. The door closes. That means there's nothing that could pull you into hell when you die or as you're living. Nothing can pull you through that door. Yeah. So your life of living out hundreds of lives, attaining sainthood, having realization, because you haven't been pulled through a door for over 1,000 years. Yeah. No doors. Yeah. And that's mainly because the process of closing that door and making people aware of their own self-realization by them discerning and discriminating as to who's right and who's wrong, who's good, who's bad. And this is our biggest, cheerful moment that we're going to get, is the process of discerning, discriminating this guy and listening to all of him telling us that we're the wrong ones. And we all drink the Kool-Aid and we don't see it. And it's a conspiracy way out there kind of thing. And we're supposed to doubt our own consciousness and think, well, he probably knows something, let's go along with it, But it's just his way of keeping himself from going to jail. That's the only thing he's afraid of. If he leaves the office, he goes to jail. There's no question. The only thing that keeps him from going to jail is being president of the United States. So he's doing everything to pardon his family, and he's trying to figure out how to pardon himself. But he can't. And none of that can do anything for all the things he's done wrong before he became president, and all the things he's continuing to do wrong the moment he's not president, because he's just going to continue lying. And when you go into the court and you continue lying, you go to jail for lying. I don't see how he's going to get out of there, because there's a lot of soulful people who's going to be sitting there. with strength and courage and understanding and devotion toward democracy and a seething, disrespect for this man's willingness to destroy the lives and the whole nation. For what? Yeah. And that's the energy that's going to be taking him. All that would have, could have, should have happened under his watch, under his control. And these people are wise enough to know we stopped that. Now we need to make sure he gets judged for what he's doing. Yeah. All right, so let's pray. I mentioned something before we do that. I'm in process of buying a plane. I bought a plane. I'm going to be an airplane pilot. And so in this process, I had to talk to the guy who's selling me the plane and getting the plane to me and all. So I finally talked to him on the phone, and as we're talking, he asked what it is I do, and I said, well, I'm I don't know if you ever saw the movie Little Buddha, we went from there and he got kind of, oh, wow, it's amazing, So you believe in God, huh? And I said, yep. And he goes, well, I'll tell you what, I've had an experience about God. And I said, really, what was that? And he goes, well, I died a few months ago or a year ago or something like that. Had a heart attack right at the hospital, and the nurse and everybody came and got him and took him by gurney and about a long time later, he wakes up, and he's in shock. Then what am I doing here, And throughout that process, he went through having constant vision of Satan right in front of him, smelling like poop, No. But he was hot and a hot breath and, a loud voice. Grumbly, loud voice, and all that you would imagine. This guy was like just laying there, and Satan was right there, and constantly really, saying terrible things. So he would wake up just enough to ask the nurse, help me. He tried to take his mask off, help me. Oh, how? I said, Bible, give me a Bible. So they give him a Bible, and there's a Gideon Bible in the bookcase, so they pull it out and he puts it on his chest and he goes, I still need more help, So then he goes, I need a cross. Get me a cross, and the nurse says, oh, I forgot my cross today. I would give you mine. So she ran and got herself a pin and drew a cross on his chest, and all of a sudden the devil just began vaporizing. And it was over, and he felt better and, it was all gone, but he could feel it, that it killed his kidneys, he was losing it in every part of his body, he was dying, But then that moment, he had that relationship, pulled him back in and brought him back life. So that was pretty interesting, just talking to a person and they tell me, hey, I died and I saw the devil, and Jesus saved me. So well, good to hear that, Yeah. So that's going to be my new friend. He's going to be showing me how to fly. So that'd be interesting. So let's begin. Repeat after me. Lord Jesus the Christ, thank you for bringing me here. Lord Jesus the Christ, I open my heart today. I invite you to come inside. Lord Jesus the Christ, come and save my life. Receive me today as a child of God. Forgive all my sins and write my name in the book of life. I give myself to you, my spirit, my soul, my body. Receive me, Jesus the Christ. Now, the devil, the blood of Jesus is against you. I command you now to leave me. I do not belong to you. I am God's property. Leave my life. I disassociate myself from you. I renounce every evil covenant. I have entered in with you. In the name of Jesus the Christ, I have received salvation. I am a child of God. Amen. Okay, just close your eyes.
I am a messenger of light. I am a pilgrim on the way of love. I do not walk alone, but I know myself as one with all great souls, and one with them in service. Their strength is mine. This strength I claim. My strength is theirs, and this I freely give. A soul, I walk on earth. I represent the One.
Okay, take a deep breath.
God moves the world. The past has gone. I am that past. It makes me what I am. the future comes. I also am the coming destiny, and therefore I am that. The present flows from out the past. The future colors that which is. I make the future also by my present knowledge of the past and the beauty of the present. And therefore I am that I am. Within the circle of the will of God I stand. Without the radius of the world of glamour I take my place. And there I stand. Before the open door that just reveals a different lighted way, I take my stand. Before the presence, I will take my place, and there will firmly stand. And stand I see. Love is the incentive of our aspiration on the path. Love is the substance of our living in the world. Love is the light and the light of freedom from all creatures. Love pulses through the universe in a divine rhythm. Love is the consciousness of God. May the holy ones whose disciple I am show me the light I seek. May all mankind, may all humanity of all knowledge, may all light on earth make manifest the soul in all things, all life. I invoke the radiant golden sun to manifest the thread of the soul into the kingdoms of the elementals, into the kingdoms of the vegetables, the animals, into the astral plane. I invoke all humanity to become the caretakers of the kingdom of God. I invoke the will of God as the soul. I stand before the judgment seat of my soul. I am that soul. All love and light am I. I serve the world and lose myself in service. This is my life, and this is the way that I will tread until the day be with us all. Consciousness of humanity, the family of humanity, to bring forth points of energy within themselves, inaugurating certain new techniques in work and in modes of communication. I invoke the group of telepathic communicators. I invoke the group of trained observers. I invoke the group of magnetic healers. I invoke the group of the educators of this new age. I invoke the group of political organizers. I invoke the group of the workers in the field of religion. I invoke the group of scientific servers. I invoke the group of psychologists. I invoke the group of financiers and economists. I invoke all creative workers as the new group. I invoke the externalization of the inner existing of conditions within these groups through the manifestation and the externalization of the avatar. Okay, just relax. You can open your eyes. Alrighty. Well, just know that tomorrow when you wake up, he will still be no longer president as of January. And no matter what he says, no matter what actions people take around him, it's over with. Yeah, and we're just in transition. And he does not want transition of any kind. So we're just going to experience that. What it's like to be in what a dictator says and how they react and all that. Yeah, we'll just experience that. But we're not that. Yeah. So we'll very quickly
over the next 5 or 6 months, start getting used to the fact that certain bills that have been passed, certain sanctions that were all done by this guy, all get erased. Yeah. Well, already the Democrats made into federal law today, I think it was, the legalization of marijuana. Yeah, some complete federal law. It will. Yeah, yeah. So anyway, yeah, so just watch, yeah, and you'll see, things that are happening that have to do with changes that are coming out of things you didn't even know that were happening. You didn't know that people were being going to be hung and being shot and being, electrified and all that is standard in our country. It's not something that's allowed to be put on the news. It's not something that's, put there, for reasons in order to keep this kind of lawlessness, because it is lawlessness when you hang a person or you tell a person what you could be justified in what you did is that an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, we're going to take your life. Yeah. And in reality, where that comes from is a lawless society. It's lawlessness that happens. It's when the law comes in, we step and stand on the side of the person who everybody's saying you need to hang, and you defend that person, because everybody's got rights, no matter what the situation is, because this isn't the last life they're going to live. And the best thing we could possibly do is move this along in a way that people can repent, given time, and not let them out, but give them God, and have them go through that process and learn skills and learn to read and learn, to be a better person while they're in there, and die of old age, because this person's going to reincarnate. And if you electrify a person who's evil and has killed other people and has no remorse whatsoever, you're going to get an even worse person coming back. Because it's lawlessness, and you kill a person in lawlessness, they're going to continue being lawless. It continues with the process. So learn your lesson. Know that we're not in the wild, wild west, that we do not need any kind of, process like this for anybody. And that all these things are going to start changing for us. The whole process of whether or not people are going to get money to be taken care of, whether or not people are going to be able to, get help to get back to work, get businesses back open. We have spent a whole year with only one check coming to help people and businesses and all that, only one time. And they've just like, well, yeah, we're thinking about it. Well, we'll wait, see how the summer goes, and we're thinking about it. Well, we're negotiating, and another, no, I don't know, we'll think about it. And now we're already moving into January. So once this is over with, we won't have that process. The Senate is now more democratic. The president is democratic. The vice president is democratic. So the House goes into a strong democratic relationship. And we can heal what is the biggest problem is the fact that we do not have a real true state of how the judicial system works. It's not healed. It's not balanced. It's not healthy. So it's an extremely unhealthy state of hate and prejudice and bias and manipulation, and nothing's really done for the people. It's corruption and a lot of things like that. So once that is kind of cleaned up, you'll be amazed as to the degree of services that humanity is going to be offered, to come into what it is we have to deal with. Because right now we're dealing with the fact that they're getting rid of food stamps, they're getting rid of health insurance, Obamacare, they're killing more people, they're going to kill people more and more. They want to get rid of, the process of not ending coal and not ending different other forms of, whether it be nuclear or whatever. Their whole focus was to build more on that. And all that now is going to go towards solar and wind and new alternative technologies. Yeah. So we have, we're investing into a sure reality that's fixed in reality, and not investing into doom and gloom and suspicion and a myopic understanding of life that is just going to collapse, as it has over and over and over again. Yeah. So over the next 4 years, we're going to see changes, dramatic changes. You know, and if I'm allowed to go into the, you know, into the government and talk and be a representative of Buddha on earth, you know, of the governments of the world, you know, as a teacher that can help straighten this thing out and bring right ray energy into this, I am open for that process. You know, I want to go into the, you know, the United Nations and into every field. You know, I want to talk with the president. I want to know everybody in Congress. I want to know everybody in the Senate. And I want them to straighten up. This is Christ's government. Don't put it in your Constitution and go against God. You know I was coming. You know, let's straighten this out. You know, here I am. Now we're all one. Let's work together. No problem anymore, okay? You know, that kind of thing is what I'm interested in, okay? So enjoy.